Hello all, good morning, good evening or good afternoon based on wherever you are watching this video and whenever you are watching this video. So as Business Central 25 or 2024 Wave 2 is announced, I was browsing through the AI language extension changelog and found out one interesting change which is regarding page extensions. So going forward, starting Business Central 25 and higher, you will be able to extend, insert allowed, modified allowed, and delete about allowed on pages and some other areas. So stay connected and we'll try to see what this means, what's possible, what's not possible. Okay. So, and this may be pretty easy to explain for people who are coming from NAV and who have worked on NAV in the past. It was a very common request. Let's pick a table. Okay. Let's go into customer and let's see detail here, something. Okay, I don't see much here. Okay, let me open customer card and see if I have other options there, right? And you can do it on any page, but I'm just trying to give you a scenario where I have seen it more or less. Okay, so let's say I would not allow my users to insert records into, let's say, ship to address for this customer, okay, or any customer for that matter. So they should be able to process other things, but they should not be able to, let's say, delete it, because right now anybody can come and delete a record. And this was very common in NAV days, that an administrator would like to restrict certain kind of permissions on the pages or the UI element that are visible. Now in NAV, because it was simpler, but in BC, because these were not extensible, we were controlling all this with permissions. Obviously, that's the only route till then. So now what you can do, and let's quickly jump into a simple example. Let's create a page extension for the same page, and this page is Alt F1, and the page is called ship to address, hopefully ship to address list. So let me try to extend this page. Okay, that's my VS code. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm trying to extend a page using page extension, and I'm trying to extending this page, and I'll call it as SDH. It's not a list. Now I would not like my user to, let's say, insert new ship to address so from the page. So what I can do now is I can say insert allowed is false, and delete allowed, that they will not also be able to delete this from the page. As simple as that, right? In the same way you can do for modify allowed if you have a requirement like this. Now remember, while in VS code, because if you have customers who had upgraded or using Business Central for a while, you might not pay attention to the runtime property. So if I try to reduce this runtime property to the previous version, which is 2024 release wave 1, and I try to save it, what will happen, you will notice that most of the functionality, but leave others, this also stops working, and it gives you an error that modifying insert allowed for extension is not available with 13. The only supported version are 14 and higher. So you need to make sure that once your customer are upgraded to Business Central 25 and they are they would like to have such a feature available on the different pages, make sure that runtime is updated to 14.0. So far so good. So we have said they should not be able to allow to insert, and they should not be able to allow to delete the record. So let's do a publish of this and see what happens on the same page. Now this is something which is very common in the legacy versions, and people who were in upgrades have surely had huge discussions with their customers of other ways to find an alternative to achieve this, because there are certain areas in your business application where you would like very limited people to have control on certain things. Permission is always a way and will always remain a way, but then this is kind of matching to what we used to have. So let's get into this page, and you'll notice that even if it says new and delete, which is surprising. Let me try to do a new, and it does pop up. Okay, so did my extension does not get published here? Surprise. Let's see, extension management, and at this point I have my extension published and it have that page extension, so it should stop my users to do a insert. Oh, they can't do an insert on the list page, which is obviously true. They'll do an insert from this page, and same goes for the delete, right? It'll pop up the card. So what we need to focus is not on the list, because you typically on a Business Central common list you can't do much on the list. So I'll just change the page ID there, which I'm extending, so that'll help me to say, okay, because the list is not editable, the actions for the user will not happen on the list, they will actually happen on the card. I'm just changing that, and I'm saying no new record should be inserted and no existing record should be deleted from this particular card page. Now remember this, you can do this across application on different kind of pages that are available. I surely had an interesting question, so we'll surely check that. Let's see, let's go in there, ship to address. Okay, if I say new, I don't see the new because the card is not allowed to insert record. In the same way, I'm not able to see the delete because the card is not allowed to delete the record. The only thing that user can do is edit an existing record. So they can still go ahead and modify things, but they will not be able to insert a new record or delete an existing record because I have limited them based on my simple page extension that we have created here. So far so good. So what does insert allow does? It allows user to create a record using the page or not. Modify allows user to modify the record on using that page or not, and same for the delete, allow user to delete the record from the page itself. Now where that is applies, this does not only apply to page extension but also to the request page of the report. So you can actually go on the request page, which is also a page, right, and then disable this. So let me see if we find a report simple enough somewhere and try to limit that. Okay, so I have open entries, and this is my request page for this report, and the request page have so many options here, like ending date and print amount in customer currency. That is coming from this page or report 15003. I would love if I see the name, which is open customer ledger entries. So what I can go do here is I can do a T report extension and say, okay, 50102, which is trying to extend okay this particular report, and I'll call it as SDH demo. Okay. I'm not changing on the data set, so no worries over there. I don't want anything on the rendering section. I'm not adding any new layout, but I would like to control certain things on the request page. So I'm saying insert allowed. Okay, okay, on the request page. Now this is a little bit trickier, but the documentation says that I should not be able to do the modify. Let me see layout. Okay, inside the layout of my request page I can do on insert. Okay, so there is nothing. Let me try to modify something and see is it possible. Modify control on that page, which is the, let's say, to date. Okay, and here can I say, okay, modify allowed, delete allowed? No, I cannot. So somewhere in the documentation it's mentioned that you will not be able to do the same thing on the report request page, which seems a little bit odd how I'll do that. If you know that, let me know into the comment section. But okay, moving forward, that also raises a big concern. around, can I go ahead and use this on my poster document? Can I actually go into my item ledger entry where it is right now disabled, right? So if I go into my item ledger entries or any other ledger entries for that matter, okay, let's get into customer ledger entries if I can. Oh yeah, so this is my customer ledger entry. This does not allow me, it does allow me to do a limited kind of edits on the fields which are allowed, but it does not allow me to insert, for sure, doesn't make any sense, or to delete a record from this. I can just go and say delete, right? So can I do this with this new property? Because I was talking to someone and they said, oh, that may raise a red flag into it. But let's just test it out. Okay, I'll use the same extension, changing nothing here, and this time I'm pointing to the customer ledger entries. I'm saying insert allowed this time is true. I should be able to insert record into it, and the delete should also be true. Okay, so let's set up, let's publish this and see what happens when I'm trying to modify the customer ledger entry in this case. Because if I can modify ledgers, that's pretty bad, right? That should not happen. So let's quickly check. So I go into the customer ledger entries from here. I do see the button delete and new, which I enabled on my page extension, but because it's a ledger, your data will be secured as the business requires it. So even on the ledger documents that you have, even if you enable this property by going into page extension, you'll not be able to find a loophole into it. So just remember that it is not that you can just go ahead and start using it, but it surely solves a bigger problem where getting into complex permissions on certain pages, I can easily, using page extension, limit what kind of actions my user can do. Is it conditional? Not exactly, because these properties are associated with the page and they only accept a boolean value, which is true or false. And I'm pretty sure that I should not be able to, but let's give it a try. If I create a variable and say is insert allowed, and somehow if I try to calculate it, can I assign that? As in, it's a boolean at the end of the day, right? So can I do insert allowed is this? Not exactly, because this is a boolean literal, but it is expecting a true or false. It is not accepting a boolean variable. So you will not be able to do it conditionally, saying X user based on certain code on that particular page should be able to do an insert, modify or delete, or another user should only be able to, let's say, modify the record. But on a perspective of where no one should touch this data, you will be able to control that without getting into complex situations of managing that access on that page. So let me know, what do you think about this feature? You know the drill. If you think you like the video, hit the like button. If you think this is shareable, go ahead and share it on your social media and share the knowledge that you have learned. And if you would like, then please do subscribe to the channel. I'll see you sooner than later into the next video in what's new in BC 25. And I always wait for all your comments, suggestions, questions, that I always religiously read all your comments. So please do add comments to this video so that if there are questions, I can also learn with you. So before I see you next time, keep learning, keep sharing whatever you're learning, and have a nice day. Thank you.